Hi everyone, welcome back to Evocative Scents. Well, I found out a fantastic fragrance, especially for the upcoming fall and winter, and that's the reason I decided to drop a full review of this fragrance. And guess what this fragrance is inspired from? And it's none other than Xerjoff Naxos, a perfume that I really like. I would not say that one is a everyday fragrance, but you can certainly reserve it as a special occasion fragrance. I will be discussing about that later in this video, but before that, if you are watching my video for the first time, do consider subscribing to the channel and hit that like button if you like this video, because your support really helps me a lot. So let's start this video then. As usual, let's start with the packaging and presentation. The box is fairly large and the box design is not very different from many other fragrances out there. On the front there is also a 3D pattern that is placed on the box, so it is not a printed one and it does look really cool. And also in the front it is written Ateeq, and this perfume comes in extrait de parfum concentration. And at the one side of the box you can see the note breakdown of this fragrance. At the bottom it's just usual stuff along with the batch code. And no surprise here, it is manufactured in UAE as expected from a Middle Eastern brand. Moving on to the back reveals a hologram for the authenticity and some regular information like other fragrances do. On the top there is Nusuk written once again in copper brown color. But now let's open up the box and take a closer look at the bottle, because the bottle design is surely very interesting and the bottle looks much more beautiful in person than it does in camera right now. There is a beautiful honeycomb like pattern, or sometimes it seems like fish scale, but whatever it is made up of glass and it continues from bottom to almost the top, almost halfway through the cap. There is multiple branding of Nusuk, but just one would have been enough really. It's already mentioned on the top of the cap as well as the outer cover. There was absolutely no need for the branding at the side. One little thing, I don't know whether it is same with all the units, but removing the cap is a small little workout on its own. I would say a little too much effort to remove the cap. On the bright side though, at least it is not too loose, which is more dangerous in my opinion. Since the bottle is transparent, you can see the juice label inside, and the juice is of beautiful golden amber color. A very unique and beautiful bottle design, but let's quickly check the atomizer as well. So now the spray test real quick. It's a beautiful pressurized atomizer and it throws a lot of juice, so no complaint here. Considering the uniqueness of the bottle design, good packaging but one little flaw, the hard to remove cap. Combining all the aspects, I would give this fragrance a solid 9 out of 10. And that's a solid score for presentation and packaging. But we do buy perfumes for the smell, isn't it? So what is with this fragrance that makes it so special? Well, I had already tried the Vue Elegante from Paris Corner. Even though it is a good fragrance for the price, I would not say it is a very good clone of the Xerjoff Naxos. It would remind you of the Naxos, but to be fair, it's about 50 to 60% similar, not more than that. And so what does the Ateeq bring to the table? For the starters, it is a much better fragrance than the Vue Elegante, but there are still some differences. With this Nusuk fragrance, I am getting a strong dose of cinnamon in the opening, and the Naxos opens up much more fresher than the Nusuk. What I mean by the freshness is that I get lot more citruses in the Naxos, and with the Nusuk Ateeq, I am barely getting any citrus out there. With that extra cinnamon, this also brings out a different kind of sweetness. With the Naxos, the tobacco is very much evident after the first 3 minutes. But with the Nusuk Ateeq, the extra cinnamon makes the tobacco much more creamier and smooth. That doesn't mean that the Naxos smells crude or rough. It is just that the tobacco is much more prominent. The transitions of the Naxos is much more evident, and you can smell each and every facet of the fragrance. With all this information, you might think that the Nusuk Ateeq is very different, but no, it isn't. I didn't mean to come across that way, but it's really important to know what you are getting with this fragrance. I just wanted to convey it is not a one-to-one fragrance. I mean clone. And I am yet to see a fragrance that is very good inspiration of the Xerjoff Naxos, like the Liquid Brune was to PDM Altair. And if you are thinking of getting a Naxos, I would still highly recommend it. What Nusuk does very well is that it actually captures most of the essence of the Naxos in a very correct manner. The tobacco accord comes more as a leafy tobacco accord, little bit more spicy facet with less honeyed smell, slightly woody and musky with less vanillic smell. I would say this one gets about 80% right. So if you are looking for a one-to-one replacement, this one isn't going to cut it. But if you are in the market for a good alternative to Naxos, or if you want a different take on that honey tobacco smell with little bit more spices, slightly more woody and musky, with less powderiness and sweetness from that vanilla and tonka beans. The Vue Elegante on the other hand is very different. If you are looking for a good sweet tobacco fragrance with slight hint of powderiness and a bit of freshness as well, especially for special occasions or parties, or if you are going into a gathering or something like that, this can be an excellent choice. For formal events, maybe you could get away, but I think there are better choices available out there. From this video, you must have guessed it. This is going to be a strictly winter fragrance. You can rock this fragrance in the fall and winter, but the Naxos is little bit more versatile, especially with the citrusy opening. And you can get away with Naxos in the spring as well. And despite being a tobacco-based fragrance, I would say this one is a completely unisex fragrance. This perfume is not a completely linear fragrance. In fact, in the very end of the dry down, the cinnamon completely fades away, and you are left with a powdery sweet smell. None of these fragrances are lavender heavy fragrance like the Jean Paul Gaultier PM Elixir. There is presence of lavender, but it is not in prominent way. It is more of that honey and tobacco smell with lot of sweetness in the base. But what about the performance of this cologne? For the cool weather, you definitely want a very strong fragrance, and this perfume surely delivers. I get solid 1.5 hours of projection and longevity of about 7 hours on clothes. This is certainly not a beast mode fragrance, but I would rate it slightly better than good. Some of you had said that in the comment section that you don't like the lavender aspect of the PM Elixir or similar kind of perfumes. Then this perfume certainly addresses those concerns. You are getting that wonderful honey tobacco smell, but with lot less lavender and slightly less sweetness as well. So what are your thoughts on this fragrance? Are you interested in this perfume? If not, which fragrance are you looking forward to in this winter season? Do let me know in the comment section down below. And if you took anything value of this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so. And if you have any feedback for this or any of my previous videos, absolutely feel free to comment once again. And that's all for today's video, and I will meet you all in another exciting video. Till then, stay safe and as always, stay honest.